wedding, which was the best day of my life until now. Just kidding. These are the opening pages, no context needed. At first, Matt hadn't told anyone about getting fired. He didn't want to admit that he'd lost his big break and his agent. Worse than pride, it was hubris. But after a month without a successful audition, and with his bank account dwindling, he'd broken down yesterday and called Helen. He'd kept the details to a minimum. He needed a job. As it turns out, Matt doesn't need an agent since he has a friend like Helen, and she managed to secure him an audition for the very next day. It's outside the city, but it's something. Anything but another open dance call. "You cannot be late," Helen had said. "The director has no time for unserious people." "Why would you say that?" Matt asked. "I'm never late. Unless it's morning, but that's not fair. I'm not a morning person." "You'll need to take a morning train," Helen said. "I won't be late." Matt had been indignant at her lack of faith, but to be safe, he woke up extra early today to get to the station. A robotic voice announces that Matt's train is delayed. It's not really his train, of course. He's not a railroad tycoon. Though he was once cast as a featured dancer in a musical version of Atlas Shrugged. Or at least he would have been featured if the whole production hadn't been canned before opening. It's for the best that audiences weren't subjected to an 11 o'clock number that rhymed "Who is John Galt?" with the word Gestalt. But to lose a job he hadn't even wanted in a show he'd known was bad had been a low point in Matt's career. Until now. It's no surprise Matt's train is late. Nothing in the past month has gone right. On Broadway they say June is busting out all over, but for Matt it's just been a bust. His unlucky streak may go back even further than that, but if he can manage to get out of here, his luck will change. He can almost taste it. Or maybe that's the smell of banana pudding permeating from Magnolia Bakery, a new feature of the station since renovations. The odor is aggressive, but it's an improvement. The station era before hadn't been so much bakery as moist urinal cake. Matt was barely able to afford his ticket, so the late train adds insult to injury. With nothing to do but hope the delay will be as short as Matt is, he stands on his tiptoes and cranes his neck to see through the crowd, but all the screens say is delayed. "One small banana pudding," Matt says to the cashier. The smell is even stronger up close. It should be sickening, but he inhales hungrily while the cashier runs his card. Can air have calories? He stops breathing. His card is declined and he leaves empty-handed. Not quite empty-handed. He'd already picked up a plastic spoon before he was exposed as poor, so he leaves with his new plastic spoon in the memory of the sad look the cashier gave him as she handed back his card. Matt takes a few more breaths as he walks away. Air is, after all, free. Dancers are often judged by their feet, but at 33 years old, Matt's more worried about being judged for his crow's feet. Despite his age, here he is, scrounging for work like a newcomer. He's going upstate of all places. The indignity is not lost on him. He is a better dancer than this, unless he isn't. The proof is in the... Never mind. Matt scans the faces in the crowd, not wanting to run into someone he knows from the theater world. Ever since getting fired, Matt feels like a fugitive on the outskirts of the dance scene. He sees a flash of his mother, but he ignores her. It's not really her anyway. For starters, she hated the city, and worse, she's been dead for 15 years. Has Matt always been in this train station? It's starting to feel that way, but no, just this morning he was in his dingy 2-bedroom apartment that he shares with 2 other dancers. Matt sleeps in what should be the living room, a situation so depressing he would sooner die than have a date or even friends over to his apartment, not that he has much time for either. Another announcement. Matt's train is finally ready to leave. He won't be late. He sprints down the track, then the train doesn't move for 15 minutes and he is sure he will die or miss his audition, or both. Finally, after every seat is full and the car is sweltering, the train drags itself out of the station. Matt gets out a book, but it sits unopened in his lap while he stares out the window, too tired to read. When people are happy, they have a reserve, but Matt is on empty. "Is it any good?" the man seated next to Matt asks with a nod towards the book. "I haven't started it yet," Matt says. "That's okay," the man chuckles. "You've got time." "Unless we die on this train," Matt says. But then really, what's the point of reading? The man doesn't bother him after that, and Matt files the anecdote away to tell Helen when she picks him up from the train at the other end, whenever that is. The train picks up speed as it heads north, and the city skyline fades away. Matt never leaves the city, never has the time nor the money. Ironically, broker than ever, off he goes, and he's shorter on time than ever, but everyone is with each passing day. That isn't unique to Matt, though the passage of time impacts dancers more than it does the hoi polloi, crow's feet notwithstanding. As the train cruises along, away from the dense concrete jungle of Manhattan, the country comes alive around Matt and his tin rocket, and though it's already July, it feels as if summer has only just, at last, begun. Thank you.